Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Peter J. Redding, and you are on a live streaming that's talking about CoreSELFie. That's talking about how do I keep track? How do I know that I am on track for being myself? The last few episodes we've talked about how do you discover that? How do you actually rediscover your core self? That self that your creator made you to be and wanted you to be, and hoping that you are living that. I don't know if my creator is hoping anything, frankly, but I think there's more of a knowingness that my creator, yep, Peter, keep up the good work. You're doing exactly what what I was hoping that you would do down there on the planet right now. So today now that we have rediscovered my core self, and if you haven't done that, I'm going to invite you to go back to episode number 2 in this series. Episode 2 is specifically the self-discovery process. It's quite spectacular. I've been using that particular version for about the last 8 years, and it's come out of a version that I've been using for the last 25 years. It'll take you 10, 15 minutes to do that process. You'll need to have that before you do this, what I call the 31-day tracking. And you just want to do that. Yeah, you just want to do that. So let's get right into it. If you want to know how to track yourself, how to kind of calibrate what's going on a day-to-day basis, you're exactly in the right place. You're in exactly the right place. So let me get my super duper PowerPoint up here. Fantastic. So it was episode 2 that I was referring to just a few minutes ago. That's the one that you actually go through that self-discovery process. All right. So if you haven't listened to that or done that, you'll need to do that again before you go any further here. And today we're on process number 4, the 31-day tracking process. 31-day tracking process. So starting off with my quotes, always remember that you are absolutely categorically unique, just like everybody else. That comes to us from Margaret Mead, American anthropologist. My quote that's kind of an adaptation of that is your core self was crafted by your creator to be 100% unique. Okay, I believe that every human being is 100% unique. So explore within to remember, reconnect to, and be your core self. It's frankly the only place that you can have a sense of deep personal fulfillment. I'm convinced of that. If you're trying to be somebody else, if you're trying to live, quote, live up to other people's expectations of what you are supposed to be doing, who you are supposed to be, how you're supposed to show up in the world, spoiler alert, it's not going to work. It just won't. You might get comfortable in life, but you will never have a deep sense of fulfillment until you are living your core self. And that's what today's all about, is how do I practice? How do I perhaps unlearn? How do I adapt new habits and behaviors and attitudes and beliefs about who I am and how I'm meant to be showing up? And it's exciting work. It's challenging. It can be challenging because you may be taking 40 years or 45 years of your life and challenging yourself to say, is this the life I'm meant to be living? Is this who I was created to be by my creator? Yeah. All right. I'm going to be switching back and forth between a PowerPoint, which is way too small to read, frankly, and a lot of details on this, and a actual Excel spreadsheet. So, in fact, let me just test that out right now and see if I've got access to that. Yeah, fantastic. And I don't think that is, I don't think that's coming through the Zoom. All right, so we'll go back to this. All right. So there's three sheets on this Excel spreadsheet. There's the daily tracking instructions, how to set this thing up. There's a second sheet that is a sample. Oh, let me see what Cello's doing here for me. Let me see if I can get that again. Hold on. Cello, are we seeing the Excel spreadsheet right now, or are we still seeing the OBS? Hang on, people. This is live. Not showing up yet. Yeah, okay, I think so. I think I have to run it through OBS Studio, and it's not doing that. So we're just gonna delete that one altogether. Screen sharing has stopped. Yeah. Okay, so let's come back to this. There's three sheets. The first sheet has some instructions on it. I'll just read it out for you here. Have your completed process number 1 self-discovery process with you before you start doing this, because you'll be referring back to that and be utilizing that over the next 31 days for the exercising, and I propose that you do to calibrate and determine if this is something that's working for you. Okay, and so that you can start changing these habits and attitudes and beliefs slowly but surely, and actually see the results of it. Okay, actually see the results of it. All right. I encourage you to be creative and have fun with this thing. It's massively detailed, just because we're complex human beings. But when you boil it all down, we're really not. But it's going to take you just maybe a half an hour of looking through these things and figuring out, yeah, okay, so this goes here and this goes here. You can't screw it up. I've blocked the cells in the Excel spreadsheet that you cannot put something in, and I've opened up the cells that you can put and edit that. You can download this document from CoreSELFie.com, www.CoreSELFie.com. Cello put that into the chat box right now so that you can see that, and post it onto YouTube as well, so that for those of you that are listening live or the recording, you can also see that in the comments down below, the download of this particular Excel spreadsheet. It's free. It's free. Free access. Share it with everybody that you love, and experiment with this and have a good time with this. Just, yeah. Okay, so before I go any further, let me come back here. Let me just 1 second. The reason I'm doing this is that for 37 years, I was told who I was, what I was supposed to do, who I was supposed to be, how I was supposed to work, how I was supposed to show up in society, how I was supposed to show up in my workplace. And I basically took that verbatim. At 37, I didn't know who I was. I know who I was supposed to be, according to family, culture, gender, as a worker bee, as a worker executive at that stage. But I honest to God didn't know who I was. And so I was going through the classic midlife crisis. Who am I? Why am I here? Does my life make a positive difference? If so, how and when and where? All of the existential questions that I think anybody that becomes any shred of consciousness starts asking themselves. And so I've been on a quest now for, I don't know, what has it been, 32 years or something like that, 35 years now, for how do I figure this thing out? And so this is my gift back to the world. I've been teaching and training coaches for the last 25 years, since 1996. And this is some of the work that's come out of that. And I offer to you gratis, no charge, free, so that you can have something to hang on to in terms of, when people say, just be yourself, right? Yeah, but what self is that? Is it the self that has been molded and crafted and programmed and conditioned by my surroundings, my upbringing, or my core self, which is a deeper down dive? Now, in those first 37 years, I created a lot of habits, a lot of conditionings, a lot of attitudes, a lot of beliefs about, was it even okay to be myself? And at 37, it wasn't. So, today's venture into tracking this, and it's designed for a calendar month, but it can be, you do it again next month and the month after that, so that you can start coming into closer alignment, and knowing that you're actually coming into closer alignment with that sense of core self, that beautiful, magnificent, awesome, precious self that's inside of you. That's still there, by the way. It is absolutely categorically, I'll say to every person in the universe, it's still there. It's just covered up by a whole bunch of other programming. And all that is not all bad. The parents and teachers and bosses and society and social media haven't, necessarily told you all the things that are bad or what not to do. But it's how do you sort it out? How do you take what is precious and still wonderful and supportive for you and your life's work, and let go of the rest? In the world of learning, we talk about unlearning. Here is about unprogramming, unconditioning of things that have been there. And a lot of people refer to that, yeah, but that's my second nature. Exactly. It's second nature. It's not first nature. I'm interested in first nature. Okay, so with that, we're going to get into this, because this is the methodology that I figured out for myself to remind myself, because I'm human, I forget, to come into alignment, conscious alignment, and all of that. So here we go. Back to my PowerPoints here. All right. So here's all the things that we have developed as a human being. These are not necessarily from CoreSELF or the deep down, what was there put by the creator. These are all the things I have adopted, conditioned, socialized myself over the course of a lifetime. So I have it just simple A through H, different elements, which includes attitude. What attitude am I showing up with? Am I attitude with I'm upset attitude every day? Or is an attitude of gratitude? Is an attitude of looking for what's brilliant in the people around me and my world today? So attitude is something that is human, okay, not necessarily divine. Beliefs, same thing. I create beliefs through experience and evidence. So if I have enough evidence that the world is a rotten place, then I continue to look for things that are going on that are rotten to reinforce that belief. And it was a revelation to me at 35, I think it was, that I could actually change a belief. That was news to me. I could actually change a belief, that a belief was not inherent. It might be inherited, but it's not inherent to my being. A child that is just born does not have a belief that these people are bad and these people are good. They learn that from their surroundings. They adapt to what they're born into. And so it can be changed back at any time that you choose. Same thing with convictions. I have a conviction about this. It's just a really firm belief. It's like staunch. Yeah, it's just I have a conviction that this is in fact bad and this is in fact good. Again, I can change that when I choose to do it consciously. My disposition, my basic disposition. How do I show up? If you think of 5 different people in your family, not necessarily your immediate family, but your extended family or your workers, you can think about if I were to ask you, what disposition do the 5 of those people have? You'd say, well, they have a disposition of being closed. They come with a closed mind. But this other person is kind of adventuresome. That's their disposition. They're excited about what's coming up next. Disposition. Again, a human quality, a human trait. E is energy. What kind of energy do you project when you walk into a room, or you have other people that would walk into a room? It's like, whew. They got an upset energy. They got an angry energy. They've got a friendly, welcoming energy. What kind of focus am I bringing to my work, my day, my life, my right now? It's again, it's a human choice. It's a human choice. It's not a divine choice. It's a human choice. All these things are human, and I can change them, modify them, morph them, choose one or practice one or more of these things over time, and I become more and more focused on what supports me, supports my life's work. Gratitude, love gratitude. We have a saying at Coach for Life, and it's what you focus on expands. Okay, what you focus on expands. And so whatever I focus on, there's more of it. If I'm focusing on buying a new car and I want to buy a Porsche, then I see every single Porsche within a 3-mile radius when I'm on the freeway. It's like, wow, there's another one. That looks like a more recent model than my 911 SC Targa. And so on, all right? If I'm looking at doing home repairs and it's going to be doing something with my roof, then I'm looking at everybody's roofs in the neighborhood. That's interesting. There's shingles and there's solar panels and there whatever's going on up there that I'm maybe interested in doing in my home. What I focus on expands. So the question is, in this exercise, am I focusing on what is supportive to my life's work, literally, or not, as the case may be, or to what degree? So all of these things, what else we got? Gratitude, okay, we talked about that. And habits, obviously, just what run-of-the-mill, daily, weekly habits. So we're going to be utilizing some of these things. You don't have to use them all, and you don't have to use them all in 1 month. You don't have to try to change everything in every single category in the next 30 days. Isn't that good news? I've been at this for 35 years, and I'm still working on almost all of these things, fine-tuning them. Now, I have examples on, this is the second worksheet, or the first worksheet in this Excel spreadsheet that I referred to earlier. Let me just read the first one and give you a flavor of it. Select one out of each of these 8 categories, A to H, attitudes to habits, right? What we just talked about. To the left, for the month. Or select several of these categories and articulate several elements of these categories for things that you want to focus on during the month. Your choice. This is completely up to you. And you can do it any way you want. So let me go to the next slide here. Now this is slide, or worksheet number 2. At the bottom it's going to say 31-day process example or sample. 31-day example or sample. And you can't change anything on here. I've just started putting some things in here. What I've done, and let me see if I have a blow up of this portion. I'm gonna blow up this portion over here on the left so that it's a little more readable. Here we go. So the top of the sheet asks, so today, just at the end of the day, and I suggest you do this at the end of each day, or you can do it the next morning and reflect back on yesterday. That's okay. But generally speaking, I was not real proud of myself, kind of a 1 to 10 scale that I'm looking for here. And I'm going to put that in on a daily basis up here in this part of the graph. 10 is I am really proud. I'm very proud of myself. Now, this is not what necessarily that I accomplished. It's who I be. It's how I showed up. How did I show up being as a dad, or an executive, or a neighbor, or a caregiver, or whatever you are in that particular day? Am I happy with who I was? In the last 16 hours of my day, the last 18 hours of my day, the last 24 hours of my day. From 1 to 10. Okay, so on the 1st of September, and again, this is just some numbers that I put in for demonstration purposes. I gave myself a 3. I was tired, I was exhausted, I was cantankerous, I was angry at the world, I was not, whatever, right? So that might be a 3 for me. Now, the things that I chose to look at in my next 31 days are over here in these cells. So I just used, again, for example purposes, attitude, belief, conviction, disposition, energy, focus, gratitude, and so on. And then I just typed in here a short verbiage that would remind me. This is all it's for. This is for you. You're not going to send it to me. You're not going to send it to anybody. This is just your shortcut, your shorthand. So here's some examples. For attitude, I just put plus, positive. Okay, this is my reminder to have a positive attitude. For belief, I have doing their best. The people around me, are they doing their best? Or am I believing that they are doing their best? Or am I looking for all the things that they're not doing and screwing up? It's what's my belief in other people? Conviction, you has my back. You is universe for me. The universe has my back. Okay, again, that's a conviction that I hold. If that's not your conviction, then put a positive version of a conviction for you in each of these. I encourage you to do it from a positive standpoint as opposed to from a negative or life-limiting standpoint, which I explained on the sheet 1 that we just went through. For disposition, relax, calm. That's kind of my goal. Am I always there? No, but I'm mostly there nowadays. Energy is upbeat. That's the energy that I want to live my day by every day. What am I focusing? I'm focusing on what's working as opposed to what's not working, what's missing, what's the gap, which is the way I was trained to focus, by the way. And I was really good at it. And I was so good at it, I became really miserable at, guess what, 37. I was spent. I was exhausted. Gratitude, have gratitude. I want to have gratitude, conscious gratitude about my health and about the work that I'm blessed to do. Habit, journaling. Okay, I love journaling. I've been journaling for decades now, and it's a way of processing for me, very generative for me. Okay, so those are examples. Now, all these symbols over here is just, and I give you these on the next one as a starting block, but you can put anything you can put into basically a 2-digit space. So I get 31 things on one sheet. So I can put a Y in there for yes. Let me go back to September 1st for me. That's up here. Whoops. I'm moving everything around. I didn't want to do that. There we go. Okay, so I'm up here, top column. That 1 is September 1st. At the end of the day, I put myself as a 3. But I had a positive attitude, so I'll put a Y in there for yes. Was I looking at everybody around me doing their best? No. I was being judgmental and cantankerous and demanding and whatever else I was doing that day. Universe has my back. Yeah, I had that one. They've relaxed. Yeah, a little bit more on the upbeat side. So I put a little up arrow on there. Energy, upbeat. No. I went backwards on that one. So I put a backwards arrow. Wasn't making progress. Actually, I kind of lost some progress there. Focusing on what's working, not at all. 0. Put a 0 in there. Having gratitude for my health and work, no, I was completely oblivious to that, so I gave myself a 2. Again, these are just markers for myself. Did I journal that day? No. Okay. So was I living according to my core values? Now, this is where we go back to those values, life purpose, and natural gifts and talents, and that discovery that we talked about in session number 2. I referred to this. You have to have that before you do this exercise. So I looked at my core values, and I have a sheet with have it all laid out. Looked at those and said, to what degree was I utilizing those, living by those today? At 10. I was doing really good with my values. Was I aligned today, my day, with my life purpose? Not really. From 1 to 10, I gave myself a 3. Judge myself as a 3. Just not aware of it. Not if I look at it back, retrospectively in the last 16 hours, really poor job of living the today in alignment with that would honor my life purpose. And the same thing with core strengths. Yeah, I gave myself a 3. So that's the filling in the blanks part. You'll fill these in once a month over here that we just went through. And you'll fill in these on a daily basis. Now, the calculations that I use with this, we'll utilize this information up here in cell number 5. That's this one over here, this 3. And these cells here that will calculate down to like 15, 16, 17 are going to be given a weighted average. And if you're not familiar with weighted averages, all I'm doing is giving this 10 a weight of 3, or if you say 30% of my core self, 30%, that represents 30%. Where my life purpose is going to be multiplied times 5, or if you will, 50% of being congruent with my with my core self. And again, the last 20% in terms of strengths, core strengths. So let me move on. Let me go to the question. I see a question here, and I want to answer this quickly, if I can. Clarify in terms of this rating business stuff. So, who's this from? I think it's from Sanjeev. I can be in different roles during the day. I may be a good team player and not a good with a neighbor. How should I score myself? Again, just do it as a blended average. Blended average. If I was a complete, well, I don't want to say the word. but you get not such a good human being in part of my life, and I was a better human being with another part of my life. Do it as an average, or you can do it by importance. If I'm really kind to people that I don't know, but when I get home, I'm a tyrant, I would personally weight the tyrant part probably heavier. The way that I treated my wife, the way I treated my kids, the way I treated my mother-in-law, the way I treated a brother that I'm angry with right now when I did a Zoom call with him, whatever that might be. But it's your choice. Yeah, it's going to be a blend of your overall character for that day. Yeah, thank you for that question, Sanjeev. Good question. All right. Okay. So I've gone now. Okay. So we look at the graph here. You still see the 3 up here that I took, that I put in from my daily journaling, if you will, or catching up. I scored myself a 10, 3, and 3. Now, these 3 scores, or self-ratings, I'll call them, 10, 3, and 3 for core values that I honored today, life purpose that I was aligned with, or in this case, not so much aligned with, because I gave myself a 3, and aligned today by utilizing or employing my core strengths, and I gave myself a low score on that, a 3. If I take the 10, 3, and 3, I multiply it times the factor of 3 over here for the 10, factor of 5 here times 3, and a factor of 2 for this particular 3. If you do that, it adds up to 51. Now you'll see down here under my CoreSELF's daily calculated alignment score, 51%. Now, this is just a check-in, quick check-in of, all right, so no surprise, I'm not a perfect human being. Hip, hip, hooray. That's been reinforced. So I have room for improvement. Yep, I'm dedicated to that. I want to be a better human being. I want to show up more authentically, being my core self, because my core self is innately magnificent. I want to say that again. My core self, your core self, everybody's core self in the world is innately magnificent. Anything that is other than innately magnificent, you have learned or you have absorbed from the world, from being human. But that core magnificence resides at the core of your being. It was there at birth. It's there now. It will be there until you die. The question is, can you access that? Can you practice being that innate, brilliant, magnificent self as we go through and do this kind of work? That's what we're after. So this is just for today. On the first, I was, 51%. Now, if I go back, let me pick out one, let's say from today. All right. So if at the end of my day, I say I'm an 8, kind of overall, I'm really happy with doing live streaming, love doing this work, love getting my work out to the world, knowing that I'm doing my work. I'm healthy, I'm vibrant, I'm excited. So if I go back through and do all those things, I hit most of my habits, and I've truncated it here. We're going down from row 3 here, or 5 here that you see here, down to 15. So there's a section here that's missing just so that I could describe what I'm doing here. But when I get down to putting my values into 15, 16, and 17, these 3, for the 7th of September, today, I think it's 7th today, I gave myself a 9 in being congruent with my core values of creative and freedom of expression and things exactly like what I'm doing right this very minute. My life purpose, I gave myself a 10. I am bang on in my life purpose of creating a bodacious flourishing of life. That's why Peter Redding is on the planet. And I give myself a 10 for that. And using my core strengths of creativity, of connecting the dots, explaining things that are difficult easily. I think I'm doing a 9. Hopefully you do. Haven't gotten lost in all of this. So those three things, again, 9 multiplied times 3, 10 multiplied times 5, 9 multiplied times 2. And if I come down here, it's 95%. Woohoo! 95% alignment score for today. Good job, Peter. Proud of you. Wow. Okay, so that's what this kind of yellow block is in here. And you can track that day to day. And for me, it changes day to day. I'm not always at 95. I'm human. I slip. I forget who I am. I forget my magnificence. And I slip right back into maybe something that I was trained in that still needs some work. All right. The last row down here is, how is my perception based on more confirmed conscious alignment with my core self, which is what I believe rows 15, 16, and 17 do, and are calculated down here in row 18. So let me go back to September 1. I gave myself a 3 at the beginning of the day, or the end of the day. It just was off. It was just not my. It wasn't my. I know that I didn't show up in my best, awesome, magnificent self way. Just didn't. So I gave myself the scores that I did. I came down here to 51. Now, this is a correlation. Correlation means is this. Are two things kind of kind of match up? Are they correlated? Or to what degree are they correlated? So on one hand, it's my just general feeling up here in 5. And down here, it's a more calculated congruency. And it also helps to remind myself of, oh yeah, I actually have a life purpose. I actually have core values. I actually have core strengths. And to what degree am I utilizing those in my day? Well, turns out that, according to at least Peter Redding's formula, 51%. That's not so bad, right? Or it's better than 0. This correlation says, okay, so to what degree was my perception, my general perception of my day up here, a 3, correlated with my calculated core selfiness, which was 51. And that's about a 77% correlation. Which means that they are relatively close. The correlation, the smaller the number is, the wider the separation between the two objects. So let me see if I can get another example in here. The other ones are fairly high, but well, here, let me take day 5. Okay, so I'm looking at this column here. Day 5, I rated myself as a 2 at the end of the day. It basically sucked. It was a lousy day. And I was not a happy person that day. So I gave myself a 2 up here, just off the top of my head without looking at all the rest of these numbers and values and gifts and talents and strengths and purpose and all the rest of that. When I got down here to actually evaluate those things on day 5, I gave myself a 3, a 2, and a 3. Low scores. Now, if I take a look at that, what's the correlation of my general perception to my more accurate, I think, assessment of looking at my core values, right? Which is I'm living at 25%. Okay, fairly low ebb. I'm living at 25% of my full core self magnificence. So if I am innately magnificent today, I didn't show it. I was only 25% magnificent, or living according to that. But the correlation here is 97%. Look at this. No, wait a minute. Yeah, 94%. If I can follow my own graph here. On the 5th of September, I gave myself a 2. It was a lousy day. And it was validated by down here, it was a lousy day, 25%. But my correlation is 94%, which tells me that my perception up here and my general feelings about life are getting pretty darn accurate. Here's the gift. Here's the jewel. I am responsible. I can create for myself whether I'm having a good day or not. I'm going to say that again. I am the creator of my good days. I am also the creator of my bad days. This is not about circumstances outside of me. This is not about what other people are doing around me. It's how am I showing up for myself and others in my life. The spectacular news here is this is not, as I often say in my coach training classes, this is not the universe with a random number generator that's picking out a lottery number and saying, oh, wow, Peter Redding, you're going to have a great day today. Don't get too excited, Peter, because tomorrow your number's probably not going to come up. I don't believe the universe works that way. When I know at the end of the day and I sit back and I go, oh, wow, thank you, dear God. Thank you for what you've bestowed onto me, into me, to be able to do the work that I get to do with the people I get to do it with. And I honored that today. I showed up. I suited up and I showed up to do my work, to fulfill my life's purpose. And it can be in any form that, by the way, I don't hold life purpose as I have to be doing a live video to be doing my life purpose. I can do it at home. I can do it with my family. I can do it at work. I can do it with my neighbors. I can do it with things that I, communicate in various forms. I can do it at this age. I can do it at 50 years old. I could have done it at 25, but frankly, I was oblivious of then. So that was much harder to do because I was doing it through aligning with what everybody else wanted me to be or do, or both. Now I'm at choice. Do I choose to have an aligned day that honors the core of my being? Wow. It's also a huge responsibility. I can't blame others for having a lousy day. You made me feel lousy. You have to give that one up. No, they didn't make you feel lousy. You chose to be lousy as a reaction to whatever they were doing or saying with you or about you. This brings the control of my life back to me. So it's a responsibility, but it is a glorious responsibility. Wow. And this is a tool to help you understand that. If I think I'm having a lousy day, yep, I'm probably not being totally aligned with who I was meant to be today. By my I swayed off the path from my creator's idea of what I'm here for. And the tools that my creators provided me and my core strengths, or the way I am being and rediscovering my core values. Not my societal values, not my generational values, not my ethnicity values, not my country of origin values, etc., but my core values deep down, ones I was born with. Yeah. So, two different things going on down here. To what degree am I aligned with who I'm meant to be, if you will, my core self? And what's my perception down here in terms of correlation from what kind of data was I having? How did I show up to this column here, 18? And it will give you a correlation figure. So when I think it's a lousy day and it gets confirmed, this will be very high. This will always be a high score when there's a correlation, good or bad, depending on the day. Okay. Let's see. Let me check over here to see if there's any other questions that I'm seeing here. And I think this might be again it is from Sanjeev. Thank you, Sanjeev, for showing up. This is something interesting to follow and know how I am living my life on a day-to-day basis. Category, yeah, exactly. Sanjeev, you could have saved me the last 15 minutes. That's beautiful. Yeah, exactly. How am I living my life on a day-to-day basis? This is exactly what we're after here. And some days are going to be better than others. Yeah, again, and I receive that. I accept that as a human being. That's, I'm not always at 95% of, being my spectacular, awesome, brilliant Peter Redding self, the way that I was created to be. Sometimes I'm not. And so don't judge yourself. Don't beat yourself up. No self-flogging, I say. It's very unattractive. All right. Now, this is what the chart will look like. I mentioned that there's 3 different sheets. They call them sheets in Excel in Excel workbooks. So sheet number 1 is kind of the instructional piece. Sheet number 2 is the one that we were just looking at, kind of a mock-up of the first 7 or 8 days of a month for me, and the different symbols that I put in there, and the different ratings that I put in there. These bottom 2 are self-calculating, so you don't need to do anything with that. In fact, you can't get into that. Those cells have been blocked so that you don't mess up the formulas that are in there. But I'll tell you what the formulas is. Again, down here, it takes the score that you did here in, what are these cells, 15, 16, and 17, kind of the bluish cells here. And for each day, it will pick up that number, multiply it times 3 for your core values. It'll take this cell here and multiply it times 5, or 50% of who you are meant to be, and 20% for the two times that number. And it will give you a percentage of to what degree are you, again, living the life that I'm meant to be living. Right there. This bottom one will be self-calculated based on this number here in the yellow box for that day, and going all the way back up to the one that's just underneath that particular day. Okay, so, and you can start this on any day, by the way. It's 6th or 7th, 7 or 8th, depending upon where you are in the world right now. So start on that day. Put your habits or attitudes or beliefs in these places over here. These are fill in the blanks. It says fill in by you. An example of a habit would be I drank 2 liters of water, or I got 8 hours of sleep, or I got my minimum 7 hours of sleep. And then you can come over here and check a checkbox, yes, or a Y, or you can put it 1 to 10 if you want. Whatever you want to do to best. All of this in here does not get calculated, so there's nothing that gets picked up in all of this. And then you rate these things. So start on any day, put anything in here, try it out for habits, try it out for whatever you want. Okay, and that's it. Next month, you can use different habits or different attitudes or different beliefs or different things. I do ask that you do it from a place of that they are life-affirming in nature, life-affirming habits. Life-affirming habits. I need 7 hours of sleep. I mean, these are just personal. You don't have to use these. If you need 8 hours of sleep a night, then are you getting 8 hours of sleep a night? Am I eating properly? Am I hydrating? Throughout the day. And make it as specific as you like. Did I drink my 2 liters of water today, for example? And I would just put over here, I might put in habit. Whoops, I'm thinking that this is my actual Excel spreadsheet, and it's not, obviously. It's just a screenshot. But I'd put habit over here in one of these sections here. And in habit, what specifically habit am I talking about? I'll just put 2 liter H2O. That's all. Just as a reminder. To start forming life-affirming habits. To start changing my focus from what's missing or what's rotten in the world or how I'm judging myself to something that is more life-affirming for me and for those people around me. Did I focus on what was working? Did I focus on seeing all the things in this today that actually worked as opposed to didn't work? It's the antithesis of watching the news, by the way. Do you get that? If I only watch the news and I continue I continue to swim in the soup of negativity, that's what I absorb. And then I'm always looking out for it. I have to be careful of it. I have to be, I'm not saying, to be foolish. But what you focus on will expand. So use life-affirming habits, attitudes, situation over here, and fill that out with what supports your living your life purpose, honoring your values, utilizing your natural gifts and talents or your core strengths. Yeah. So that's what the whole blank sheet looks like. You'll have a running total down here, and take a look at this, once you're into this a week or a week and a half or two. How correlated are your general feelings about that day to what the calculation is relative to your core strengths, life purpose, and core values? Last week we talked about validation. This is a continuing validation that when I live according to my core self, as described by the 3 elements that I believe that is inside of that, I am really, really happy and feeling deeply personally fulfilled. On the days that I don't, not so much. I've been practicing and working with this for 26 years now, this specifically. It works. It spectacularly works because there's 2 things that are getting accomplished here. One is a higher level of consciousness and awareness. And I know as a professional coach that when my client has a higher level of awareness, they make better decisions. And they experience a more fulfilling life, actual life, practical. When I'm not, or when they're not, life sucks. And it's not because of their surroundings, it's not because of the circumstances, it's not because of COVID. It's how they are reacting or interfacing with all of it. I can't tell you how important this is. If every human being had more their own consciousness, and let me finish that thought. If they had higher level of consciousness on their own, they would be literally a better human being. They'd be a better dad. They'd be a better mom. They'd be a better teacher. They'd be a better healthcare provider. They'd be a better neighbor. They'd be a better global citizen. They'd be more tolerant. They would see the beauty in every human being as opposed to judging, you're not doing life right. I don't like your kind of people. Blah, blah, blah. it's very detrimental to your own mental health and to the health of the planet. So that is why I freely give this to the world. No charge. Download it. Use it everywhere. Yeah. Can you imagine a more compassionate world? And it starts with you. It starts with me. I can't make you more compassionate, but I can sure do it for me. Yeah. So we have a couple of minutes remaining here. Let me just kind of give you a... Oh, I have this on all the documents that are on CoreSELFie.com. You can see it here, CoreSELFie.com. You can see it down here in the... just below me, CoreSELFie.com, right? And so congratulations on completing this exercise. Thousands of people have used and had benefited from this. This is actually the most advanced version of it that I've ever done. So even my I don't know, I have 4,000, I think, Coach for Life graduates, and probably several thousand other people that I've talked to or done classes for. That I've used this or shared this, but this is the most advanced version of it. And you have my free, copy it, paste it, use it. I just ask that you don't change it, and it's for free. It continues to be a no fee offering that you might include as whatever you're doing. Give it away for free. Can't charge for it. Next week, we go into process number 5, and I switch these off. And if you've been a regular viewer of this series, I switched the last 2 intentionally. But we're going to be talking about CoreSELF, the 10-level assessment. 10-level assessment of how current is your current POS, and POS is your personal operating system. Are you operating from things that were programmed into you when you were 7 years old, and you're still operating from that? Now, some of those things are going to be great, still are. Hold on to them. And some of those are detrimental. They're limiting. They're not allowing you to be your most magnificent self because you're still trying to dance to the tune of external stimuli. So this is going to be very interesting. You're going to love this one. Don't miss it. Back here next Tuesday, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning, USA Eastern Time, for another live video streaming. Got one last thing here from Sanjeev. We got a couple minutes here, actually. So your alignment score is 95% today because you are with us. Thanks for these sessions. That is. I am giving my gift freely and unabashedly here. And so thanks for showing up to receive it, Sanjeev. Love you, man. Love you. Keep doing your great work. Okay, so with that, I don't see any other questions coming in. I'll give it a couple of seconds here, see if there's anything else coming through. Not seeing anything coming through. All right. So I will sign off. Be safe. God bless. Namaste. Have an awesome week. See you next week.